Hey there, my spooky, scary skeletons. It's Chloe in real life, and welcome back to another episode of my Halloween Spooktacular. Today we're here at Not Scary Farm, outside of Dark Entities, one of the newest mazes here at Scary Farm, with the wonderful, amazing, and talented Mr. Gus Krueger.
Hello
You
there.
actually made this.
Well, I didn't make it. I designed it. A lot of people made it. A lot of very talented people made it. I don't have that much time in a day.
Well, do you think maybe you could show us the inside?
I certainly can.
Alright.
Would you like to go in?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. So here we are inside the way station. It's installation P425 of a company called AppSec. They're a private security company that has interests on the globe and beyond. So what this company has done is they've created a deep space probe that they send out to space to find useful and fun things that they can make money on, because that's what America's all about. So their deep space probe found something out in space, and as soon as they brought it on the ship, they were studying it and it had crazy energy readings, but then a scientist touched it and he mutated into this weird and funky thing, and then it turns out that this was sort of an embryo, sort of cocoon, that these alien life forms came out of, and they eventually grow into the entities that festering about on the ship. The people mutate to better serve those entities, and it's a big mess out in space. However, you don't start in space, you start on Earth, and this is the company that, this is the security base where you will be sent to space from. As you come in, you're going to go through this main entrance here, you're going to meet this fine robot here. He has you go through the security checkpoint. As you pass through the checkpoint, there's a lot of interesting things that you can do. There's various things on the screen, like a lot of logins and things like that. There are some touch sensors here that they're not going to work right now, but if you touch them in the maze, things happen. Like this will give you a security warning and let you know that your access is denied. So you pass through this security screening, and then we go into the decontamination room. This one will let you know that a foreign substance has been detected throughout the decontamination. This was modeled after the X-ray scanner type things that you'll find in airports, just to have this sort of a fun thing going on. So you go through here, there's a little fan blowing on you, an air blast. This shows you a live feed of what's happening in the maze, so you can see that there is
so cool.
terror in space. So this is where the portal technician, the gateway technician, is here. She'll send you through, let you know. She has her fancy little clipboard with a little bit of the tips for safe travel through the gateway. Do not chew gum. Use the restroom first. Think positive thoughts. Practice slow breathing. Lead with your left foot. Do not smile or clench teeth. Cross your fingers. Have faith in science. Do not crack your knuckles. Ignore the tingling. Face forward. Good luck.
That's awesome.
There you go. This is actually a variety of side effects that you can get through traveling through space.
Bone loss.
All of these are
That's
real, so if you don't know what they are, make sure that you Google them, and you might just be entertained and horrified by the results. So we pass into space, and here we are. We give you a big TV to let you know you're in space, because it's very important that you know you're in space when you're in space, right? Otherwise,
Those are important.
where are you?
Yeah.
So now that we've passed into space, you immediately see that something has gone terribly wrong. This is the quarantine section, where they would quarantine people who have potentially been infected by anything else, and of course they have. This fella had a rough day. He was just trying to check his biometrics, and he, well, they didn't tear his arm off, they tore his body off. So it's just not a good way to go through life.
She looks like she's having a grand old time.
She's just napping. She was just trying to have a nice little nap. And there you go. This is kind of fun, because this is a lot of the people who actually built the maze.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was a nice way of, those were a lot of the people who had spent way more time in here than anyone really should. So that's a little way of thanking them for that. So as we pass through, we leave the biometrics. We're going to go down a corridor
I love that.
into another
That
area.
looks so
This
good.
one's kind of neat because it has a little bit of a rig there where talent can sort of do an assisted jump, and they also have a foot pedal that causes a sort of a surging light throughout this area. So
It
it's another
is
fun one.
fantastic.
But before that guy can get us, we take a quick left and we come over to the mess hall, which you can tell is the mess hall because there's a sign on the wall that says mess hall, and the sign's messy. So here we are in the mess hall. As you can tell, things have gone a little bit wrong. some of the mutations caused by the alien thing are kind of taking over and getting a life of their own. This was a little bit of human tissue that sort of grew and expanded out and went gross. Definitely inspired by The Thing because it's such a classic and fun movie. So a little bit of alien human DNA splicing together and doing terrible things, and didn't work out for this guy, but you know, he's still in the maze. So a lot of this just comes from the props. The props department it's kind of a well, I don't know if it's really a misnomer, but it's just the props department does more than just supply hand props for us. They do all of the decor. So some of these bodies are custom made for us by outside companies, like this is a purchase body, but a lot of these weird things, we basically will say, hey, we want some genetic weird things sort of inspired by The Thing, and they will come up with a lot of stuff.
Awesome.
So, and then, you know, all of this crazy architecture that was that you see in the maze was drawn by myself and by Daniel Miller.
Nice.
He helped me out on a lot of this stuff. I pulled a bunch of reference, and there are certain things in the maze that are just very inspired by other. These were actually inspired by some of the dining things from Blade Runner. So there was just a certain way that they were laid out. So what I did is give it a little bit of a call out, Blade Runner, which was released on June 25th. So yeah, there's little things like that. There's a lot of things where I kind of put what I was inspired by as an Easter egg that nobody would ever know unless they watch this. And because the mess hall is very important in alien movies, that Alien was actually released on May 25th. So there's a lot of little things. It just, I think a lot of that detail sort of adds to the believability of the maze, because everything's branded now. There's names and numbers on everything. So it was a fun way of getting a little bit of that texture and style to it. And, you know, also having fun with what I was inspired by. So, hey, let's go to the cryostasis chamber. Sounds fun. So here we are. These people are not faring so well in their cryo sleep. This one's a video that you can't watch right now because it's not turned on. This one is for talent, but they're never in there because they're always out running around having fun. So they use this one. And this guy slams up against the thing because he's having a rough day, and this poor fella has bad ankles.
Oh no!
This is your favorite. So this is the living quarters. I just wanted to give a little bit of a look at what somebody on space would have to help them not go crazy. And this person was a fan of space, so there's a little bit of, there's a Millennium Falcon, there's a SpaceX
Those are
rocket.
some really awesome drawings.
Yeah, and actually Daniel Miller sat down and was doodling this
that's
stuff.
so cool.
So this TV screen is where you receive a message from one of the survivors of the ship letting you know that if you get to the reactor core, go there because he wants to blow it up. This is this is the type of bed chamber they had on this ship, one out of many, and I will let you. Now up here,
yeah.
I'm not sure why it was an error in judgment on my part, but there's a little shout out to Chloe in there.
Thank you. That was pretty rad. I love this room.
This room's pretty fun. This is the med bay, the medical bay, as you can see in the room. We have some people who are having a little bit of problem with the alien mutation going on. This poor lady, she may have died, but her internal organs didn't. They kind of grew up and spiked, and they're having a really wiggly good time. This poor fellow over here had some pretty widespread genetic mutation going on, and this guy, he's doing his best to try to save the day. He's trying to excise any abnormal tissue that he finds. He's found a lot. He's tearing it out, but he has confidence that this patient's going to pull through. So this room is very much my tribute to the dark corridors of films like Alien. So as you come through, you see these grates have air blowing out.
That is like such an awesome thing.
Puppet over here.
Oh.
Rah!
Ah! He looks so awesome. I love his little teeth.
This is a pretty fun one because it's on a track where it can actually scare out
Wow, I
any
love
of these
that.
three windows. Good point. But yeah, this was another fun opportunity to just use lighting in different ways. And, you know, most of the lighting in the maze is provided by all of the panels and things that come through here. So, and these guys, as you can tell,
there's an eye in there.
as you get a little further into the maze, that the mutations are getting bigger and grosser and stranger. A great example, actually, of a distraction scare is in this hallway. As you're passing through, it's dark. There's this mist that's shooting out by the geysers. So as that's distracting you in the thing, then you have the puppet being the scare. So we try to do it. Sometimes it's not just, as I said, it's not always based on the talent being that distraction. Sometimes it is. A lot of times it's environmental, where you take what that is and you let that be this neat thing so that your talent can come out and get your scare. This fella, he's having a rough day. Another one of our sensors in here is supposed to trigger a firecracker. This guy also having a rough day.
Oh yeah.
This is the communications room, where the hub of communications to the ship, and it's had a lot of damage, so they're not really communicating that great with Earth at the moment. As we enter the science lab, this is another one of our touch sensors here. As you touch it, it'll trigger a lighting change in the room. This is actually the first guy. This guy is the dummy that started it all. He's the one that touched this artifact, and it sort of branched out, grabbed him. He started to mutate, and it just caused a ripple effect throughout it. So he's been encased in here for posterity.
That's scary.
This is another opportunity for, as we'll take a step back here, one of those distraction scares like we talked about. So this part is actually a talent position back there that has a light and all that. So as you go through here, you look at this and you'll just think that, you'll assume it's a just a regular scenic thing, but it is. So this is a fun little thing. They actually just installed this today, so I have no idea how it looks, but we'll find out.
Oh, I haven't noticed that he has a little brain.
The evolution of this creature is sort of coming in different ways, where the big talent you see is sort of one path that it's taken, but that's more the dominant path, and then the big guy you see at the end is the sort of the thing. But there's other weird mutations that maybe haven't turned out quite as well as the other ones, and they're roaming about the ship having a good time. We'll go to the bridge, because
Oh, I love this room.
All right, so here we are in the bridge. This is where the magic happens. This is, well, it's not the magic. It's actually pretty gross. But this was a lot of fun. The bridge was sort of, I wanted it to be a very big, impressive scene. And all of the guts and all of this stuff I actually installed myself. So that was, nice. I did all this. The idea was that as these people are mutating, this fine lady that I'm resting my hands on, what is going on is a lot of the living, breathing people that are mutated that walk the ship the mutations worked well for them, and it sort of got to their DNA where they can be controlled and used by the entities to do their bidding. But these other guys, it didn't really fare as well. So what happened with the people on the bridge here, especially her and the fellow you'll see around the corner, is that their guts started to go out and root themselves, like they're growing like tree roots. So they're just kind of growing out and sort of grabbing whatever they can, and it didn't work out for them on the whole living thing, but that is what's going on in here. It's just, again, like the people you saw in the med bay, their organs started to mutate and grow out in a way that their body wasn't able to control, and here you go. But this was a lot of fun. There was, I did want to get in the maze a HAL reference from 2001: Space Odyssey, but I kind of did it for myself over here.
Nice.
So the ship is actually powered by the Gus 5000.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is something that probably no one would ever see unless they walk in.
Oh my gosh.
But it's just fun. Yeah, and to go into another little thing that's, this is actually, a lot of this whole thing was sort of inspired by my dad, because he was a member of First Fandom, which was like a science fiction group from the early, like 1920s, 1930s. Like, he was one of the first people in science fiction fandom, and he carried that along the way. And this is his initials and birthday, and he actually published books under the name Shroud Publications. So the ship is actually named after him.
Well, that's awesome.
And one of the things that, one of the emblems that they had was a guy holding a dagger, so that was the dagger. So that's all based on
that's so cool.
Sort of a tribute to what my dad did in his time. So that's that. And then there's the fine fellow. Again, the guts sort of went out and ripped into the wall, and
nice.
yeah. it's fun. This was a fun room. And we'll go through, this is sort of just an air shaft leading to reactor core. There's lots of holes in it. There's a couple of breaches. It's a big mess. And then as we get to the reactor core, you get a scene where the reactor core is smoking. There's a lot going on in there that's wrong. There's an alien running around in there. There's a survivor running around trying to get you to blow the place up. There's this big mutated fella here. And it's just...
was that one guy or two guys?
That was one guy. And it just kind of...
Yeah.
Maybe genetically he was meant to be twins and it didn't happen, but the mutation made it happen. So, you know, hey, maybe it's not a bad thing. I just have no idea how the shirt stays up. Pasties or something holding it, some tape, I don't know. And then as we get to the cargo hold, it's sort of the way out of the ship. There's another portal back to Earth on the cargo hold. So the idea was between the dual portal was that there was a portal sort of where the quarantine is, where you come onto the ship as a passenger, but you get your biometric test to make sure everything is okay. But there's also a way for the ship to send cargo back to Earth. So here we go. So there's a little bit of story justification. It's not just a portal for the sake of a portal. I thought about it for at least like 25 seconds. So here we go, back to Earth. And as you get back to Earth, we've blown up the ship. Everything's great except for the fact that it really looks rough. Everything's terrible. And then you get to see this big guy. Here he is. So, yeah. So here he is. He likes to have a good time. His interests are chess and boogie boarding. Really, he was a big fan of Pop Tarts.
Tell the truth, though, he really moved to LA because he's an actor.
Yeah, well, didn't everybody?
Yeah.
Right. So. He's actually taking some improv classes at his local community college, and you know, it's going to work out well for him. I think he's got a great big future. He just needs to find public transportation that he fits in.
We should make him a Tinder account.
There we go.
Probably get him one of those creeper vans, and he just sits in the back. But he'd fit, maybe. Anyway, yeah, this is another thing that's actually, when we have enough staff, somebody can actually sort of pop it out and grab, and there's a little bit of a
so cool.
out there. So he likes to have a good time. He just wants to shake everybody's hand, give them a high five as they come through. Or eats their face off, and the human race is doomed. And that is it. And then you exit Dark Entities, and you go on your merry way.
So that was the behind the scenes tour of the newest Not Scary Farm maze, Dark Entities, with the wonderful and talented Mr. Gus Krueger, the designer of this fantastic maze. I loved being able to go through with the lights on to really see all the gory details. It was pretty interesting, pretty fantastic. I loved seeing what inspired him and all the things that went into making this beautiful project. A huge thank you to Knott's and of course Mr. Gus Krueger for inviting us. I had a wonderful time. Thank you. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a spooky video just like this one. I'll see you all next time. Don't forget to stay spooky. Bye!